Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's Keshwani. Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for SAT. We have been solving SAT math problems out of this book here, the official SAT study guide. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. The problem that we are about to solve is the one that you will find on page number 773. Please turn to it. Page 773, and today is our lesson number 95. Lesson number 95. We will solve the two problems that you see in the second column, number 17 and 18. Yesterday, on day number 94, we solved the two problems that you see in the first column, number 15 and 16. So we'll finish it up today, number 17 and 18. And as I always told you, in the entire SAT exam, the gradient questions are typically more difficult than the multiple choice questions. And of the gradient questions, the last two gradient questions, number 17 and 18, are probably the most difficult problems in the entire math portion of the exam. Because they're gradient questions, first of all, and they're the last two, number 17 and 18. Let's take a look at it here. Especially number 18 in this exam, the one that we're about to do, is quite nasty. Number 17. If P, R, and S are three different prime numbers greater than 2, P, R, and S are prime numbers greater than 2. And they have to be different. I'm not going to write everything down. They have to be different. They cannot be all the same. It says there they have to be three different prime numbers greater than 2. And we are told that n equals P times R times S. And the question simply is, how many positive factors, including 1 and n, does n have? Of course, any number has a factor of 1 and itself. For example, 7 has a factor of 1 and 7, even though it's a prime number. That's the definition of prime number. Any number will be you can divide evenly any number by 1 and itself. So that's what it says here. How many factors, how many positive factors, including 1 and the number itself, the n, does n have? Well, let's find out. The easiest, the simplest, the quickest, the most efficient way to tackle this problem is to just make up numbers. Make up three prime numbers. As long as they are more than 2, as long as they are greater than 2, and as long as they are all different, you're fine. So that's what we're going to do. Let's start with the smallest one. Why should we go out of our way to look at the complicated thing? 3 is the prime number, 5 is the prime number, and 7 is the prime number. There is your n. All you have to figure out is how many factors are there of this quantity, whatever this quantity happens to be. I'm not even going to bother wasting our time trying to figure out what that quantity is. Let's find out what are the factors of this number. This is some number. This is 15 times 7, whatever that number is a quantity. It's an n, whatever that is. And the factors of, well, if you insist, 15 times 7 is 35, 3, 7, 105. The question simply is, 105 has how many factors? Well, 105 can be divided by 1, obviously, right? It can be divided by 1. It can also be divided by 3, obviously. You can divide 105 by 3 because 105 is made up of 3 times 5 times 7. 105 can be divided up by 5. You can divide 105 by 7. So that takes care of singles. Now let's look at the pairs. I need the room, so I'm going to read the top part so that I can show you what I need to show you. Now we're going to look at the pairs. And the factor of 105 would be 3 times 5. 3 times 5 is 15. And you will see that 105 can be divided into 15 evenly, right here. There are 7 15s in 105, or 15 7s in 105. Similarly, 3 times 7, 105, can be divided evenly into 21. Because 100 can be divided by 20. There are 5 20s in 100, therefore there are 5 21s in 105. So that takes care of the pair. Well, actually no, I take it back. That does not take care of the pair. You see, I almost made a mistake. Had I said Had I said that that takes care of the pairs, we would have gotten the wrong answer because we would have been 1 short. Another pair that we see is right here. 3. So we have 3 times 5, we have 3 times 7, and now we have to do 5 times 7. 105 can also be divided evenly into 35. That's it. We are almost done. We have taken care of singles. There are 4 singles. 1, any number can be divided by 1, and then 3 factors that we see here. So we took care of singles, we took care of the pairs. These are the singles, these are the pairs. Now we do the triplet. The triplet would be the whole thing itself. 105, of course, can also be divided by 3 times 5 times 7, which is 105 itself. Voila, that's it. That's how many pairs, that's how many factors 105 has. 105 can be divided evenly into 1, 3, 5, 7, 15, 21, 35, and finally the number itself. How many are there? I see 4 over here, and I see 4 over here. The answer is 8. The answer is 8. That's all. Question was, how many positive factors, including 1 and n, does n have? It has 8 factors. And n in this case is, in our case, is 105. In our case, because we plugged in 3, 5, and 7. Had you plugged in 3 other prime numbers, the value of the n would have been different, but the procedure would be exactly the same. It would be exact same procedure. Doesn't matter what 3 numbers you plug in for the 3 prime numbers. You're going to have the 4 singles. Why 4 singles? Even though there are 3 of them. Why 4? Because you have to have 1. So you'll have 4 singles. Then you will have 3 pairs. You'll have 3 pairs. And finally you will have the number itself. That's all. Now number 18 is not for the faint-hearted. It is only for those people who can brook it. It's only for those people who can brook it. What does the word brook mean in this context? What does it mean to brook something? To be able to brook something means to be able to tolerate something. Can you tolerate it? Can you handle it? Can you stomach it? Can you brook it? Brook. I'm looking at the vocabulary list of vocabulary words to see when we learned it. We learned it on day number 4. Just type in vocabulary, SAT vocabulary words, day 4, and we'll pop right up that video, and you can watch that video and you can learn the word brook along with some other interesting words, good words, to help you expand your vocabulary, to help you get a better score in the reading portion of the exam. If you're interested in getting a better score in the writing portion of the exam, then you need to work on the grammar. Because 80% of the writing portion, the so-called writing portion, has nothing to do with writing. It's simple multiple choice grammar questions. And you will find videos on the grammar questions at my channel also. You will find videos at my channel dealing with vocabulary words, as I said, day number 4. So the whole thing is there to help you get a better score in the math part, the reading part, and the writing part. Anyway, enough said. The only thing that I cannot help you with is the essay portion. Anyway, number 18. Number 18. Here is the function that is given to us. C minus D minus 4t whole squared. Let's see what we're supposed to do with it. It says at time t equal to 0, a ball is thrown upward from the initial height of 6 feet. So we're throwing the ball in the sky from the height of 6 feet. Until the ball hits the ground, its height in feet after t second was given by the function above. So this function gives us the precise height of the ball at any given moment in time. If you want to find out how high the ball is after having been thrown in the sky, and if you want to find out how high the ball is exactly 13.7 seconds, you just plug in 13.7 here for t, and you work on it and it will give you the height. But for that to happen, you have to know the value of c and we have to know the value of d. So somehow, some way, we have to figure out the value of the c and the value of the d. They must tell us something else. Let's read the rest. Until the ball hit hit the ground, its height in feet after t seconds was given by the function above, in which c and d are positive constant. Alright, so they are constant, obviously. If the ball reaches maximum height of 106 feet at time at t equal to 2.5, what was the height in feet of the ball at t equal to 1? So how high was the ball after 1 second after having been released? Now, in order for us to figure out the value of the c and the value of the d, we need to figure out exactly precisely how high this ball was at 2 points in time. We need this height in 2 different points in time to solve for the 2 variables. You see that? That's what I'm assuming. We'll see what happens. And have they given us the 2 heights? The answer is yes. They have told us that when t is equal to 0, how high is the ball at t equal to 0? In other words, precise moment when it's about to be launched. It has not been released yet. It's about to be launched at precisely 0 second. We are told that it is 6 feet height from the ground. Presumably the guy who's standing and about to throw it, his hand is 6 feet from the ground, 6 feet above, and he's about to release it. So we're going to use that information. So when t is equal to 0, we get c minus d minus 4 times 0. You see, you subtract 0 for t squared. Now I should not have put that arrow there, because now that's confusing. I'm going to rewrite it and I'm going to line up properly everything. So we have d minus 4 times 0 squared. Now 4 times 0 of course is 0. 4 times 0 squared, 4 times 0 actually, is 0. So here we end up with just d minus 0 squared, which is same as d squared. So we know that c minus d squared equals to 6. Why 6? Because they tell us that the height is 6 at precisely 0 second. I'm going to rewrite this thing right here. C minus d squared equals 6. We're going to make a note of it. This is a very important bit of information. Now we move on to the second bit of information that they gave us, which is the fact that at precisely 2.5 seconds, it has reached its maximum height of 106 feet. Now the fact that it has reached actually its maximum height, of course it warms the cockles of my heart, but it doesn't do us any good. I am not interested in knowing the fact that it's the maximum height. What we're interested in is the height itself. How high is the damn thing? The fact that it's maximum, it doesn't really do anything. How high is the damn thing? The answer is it's 106 feet high. So let's do that here. So when t equals to 2.5? 2.5. When t is equal to 2.5, we'll have this story. T of 2.5 equals c minus d minus 4 times t, but t is 2.5. You see, wherever we see t, we replace with 2.5, and now we have to square the whole thing. Watch what happens. Okay, this is where you have to pay attention. Even though the part is there, even though this thing is here, I'm going to start from here. So we have c minus d minus 4 times 2.5. How much is 4 times 2.5? Well, 4 times 2 is 8. And how much is 4 halves? 0.5 is half, isn't it? 2 halves make a 1, 4 halves make a 2. So 4 times 2 is 8, and 4 times half is 2. 8 plus 2 is 10. So it's d minus 10 squared. And that we are told is 100 and, how much was it? 106 was it? 106 feet. 106 feet. Now we're going to work on this thing, and somehow something is going to happen, okay? Just don't freak out. Let's stay with this story here. But I'm not going to explain every excruciating detail, every single step of algebra, because if I have to do that, then obviously you're not meant for number 18. I don't mean it in a condescending manner, but you have to be realistic. If I have to explain every single algebraic step here, then don't waste your time on this thing on the exam. Skip it. Spend your time. It'll be wiser for you. It'll be smarter for you to invest your time on the easy and the medium questions. This question is only meant for people who are shooting for 750 and above. It is only meant for those people. People who are shooting for perfection. All the other people will be smarter to invest their time on some other questions. This will take a long time for you for an ordinary soul. Do you understand? Let's continue here. So c minus, open the parenthesis, and you will get d squared minus 20d plus 100. This is what I'm talking about. If to go from here to here, if it requires explanation for you, then don't worry about this question, skip it. But hopefully you can figure it out. It's just a minus b whole squared. Just open the parenthesis. Now, keep in mind that there's a negative sign in front of it. There is a negative sign in front of this parenthesis. In other words, everything has to be converted. C minus d squared, negative 20 and times negative will become positive 20, d, and positive 100 and a negative times b could become negative 100 equals 106. Okay, watch what happens. We already know c times d squared. Here is it. Not c times d squared rather, that's not what I meant to say. We already know c minus d squared, the value of that quantity, c minus d squared equals 6. So we can substitute here. 6 plus 20 times d minus 100 equals 106. 6 plus 20 times d minus 100 equals 106. Of course, we can solve this thing for d, which is what we're going to do on the top here, because I'm running out of room here. So we can erase this thing and then we're going to do it on the top. Let's pick this up. So we have 6 plus 20 times d minus 100 equals 106. Bring 100 there and bring the 6 there, and you end up with 20d equals 200, which means d equals 10. D equals 10. That's it, we are almost done. Now we can answer the question that is being asked. We're not done yet. We were just messing around with the C and the D. Now we can answer the question how high the ball is going to be precisely 1 second after having been released. Let's do that. So instead of t equal to 2.5, we're going to put in t equal to 1. And it will be h of 1, this is how we say it, h of 1 would be c minus d minus 4 times 1 squared. And that will give us, I need to erase all of this thing now. That will give us c minus, let's just do it out. Instead of erasing one by one, it will be quicker to simply do it out. C minus, and here we'll end up with d minus 4 squared. Watch what happens. Open the parenthesis, c minus d squared minus 8d plus 16. And again, when we open the parenthesis, keep in mind that this is a negative sign in front of it, so it's c minus d squared plus 8d plus 16. C minus d squared, we already know how much that is. How much was it? C minus d squared we found out was 6. This quantity is 6 plus 8 times d, which we know is 10, plus 16. There you go, we're almost there. But something has gone wrong here because something has gone wrong because it does not match the answer I have. You see how easy it is to be careless? Even though I kept lecturing you to pay attention to this negative sign, I myself made a boo-boo, didn't I? Bloody hell. There's a negative sign here, which is why sometimes it's wiser for me to just shut up and concentrate on my work, sort of babbling all the time. There's a negative sign in front of it, so negative d squared, and then negative 8d times the negative times negative is positive 8d, and then this positive 16 times the negative should have been negative 16. Should have been negative 16. Otherwise, all of this work would have been for, a vocabulary word comes to my mind, otherwise, all of this work would have been for not. We'll learn that word in a second, okay? So let's finish it up. And that comes out to be 70, that's it. The answer is 70. Question is how high the ball is going to be 1 second after having been released. The answer is it is going to be 70 feet high. That's it. Did we ever learn that word actually? We may have actually. Let me check. Under N. Not. No, bloody hell, we have not learned it. Shall we? Again, I'm going to use that word in the context so you can see how it's being used here. What I said is that because these are gradient questions, because these are, listen very carefully, okay? Because these are, what makes them tricky is what I'm about to explain to you here. Because these are gradient questions, these are open-ended questions, these are not multiple choice questions. In the multiple choice questions, what would have happened is this. In the multiple choice question, what would happen is that, you see, the correct answer is 70. And the correct answer is 70 because we have a negative 16. Now, instead of negative 16, Had I put down positive 16 like I did before, then instead of being 70, instead of being 70, it would have been 32 more, because instead of subtracting 16, we are adding 16. So we would have had 32 more. The answer would have been 102. If you do it out, you will see 80 plus 16 plus 16. 16 plus 16 is 22. You see, 22 plus 80 is 102. Keep listening. The answer would have been 202. I would have come up with the answer of 102. Now, had it been a multiple choice question, there is a chance, there is no guarantee, but there is a chance that if on a lucky day, I might find that 102 is not one of the answer choices. In which case, I would have realized that I have made, to use a technical term, a boo-boo. But because this is an open-ended question, I would have never known that I made a mistake here, and instead of this positive 16 should have been changed to negative 16 because of the negative sign out in front of it. And because I didn't do that, I would have never realized it, and I would have graded 102. And all that work that we did in, all that amount of work that we invested in it, would have been for naught. Now we'll learn this word. Okay? So let's fix this thing. This was a negative 16. And the correct answer is 70. Well, naught means exactly what it sounds like here. All of the work that we did would have been for nothing. That's exactly what naught means. Naught means nothing. It means zero. It means nada. It means, here's another word that you might want to learn. It means صفر. صفر is another word. It means zero. صفر means zero. صفر is an Arabic word. And why Arabic word has crept in English language? Because it was the Arabs who came up with the concept of zero. You understand? Sifar, nada, zilch. There you go, zilch, sifar, nada. Now we're going in colloquial terms. And the word is not. All of that work would have been not. Would have been for naught. Would have been for nothing. Because we would have had 102 and that would have been the wrong answer, obviously. We are done with this exam. That was day number 1. Oh, that is not. We are not done with this exam. Bloody hell. We still have one more section to go. One more section to go. And how did I know that we have one more section to go? Because it takes me 15 videos to make one exam, to go through one exam. There are three math sections in one exam, and it takes me 5 videos to do one section, therefore 15 videos. And the reason I realized all of a sudden that this is not the end of the exam is because 95 cannot be divided evenly into 15, which means I must have another 5 days, how many days? I'm drawing a blank here. Another 10 days to go, because 105 can be divided into 15. So this means that must have been the first math section in this exam. It is. That's the very first section in the exam. We still have section number 7 to go in this exam, and we still have section number 9 to go. I will see you tomorrow, okay? When we'll begin the next section, section number 7. Alright? Bye now.